Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Chase Thomas Podcast from still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me down there in Decatur, Georgia, my good friend, fellow University of North Georgia alumni, and the host of the Georgia Voice of College Football, Matt Green, is here. Matt, good evening, sir. How are you?
Yes, sir. I'm doing well. It was a successful weekend this weekend.
Yeah, you made the trip, Matt Green. We were talking before we jumped on here. Getting back at 3 a.m. We're flipping our schedule, so apologies.
You did gain an hour.
You did gain an hour. That is right.
So daylight savings was clutch for us. Got home at 2 a.m. technically.
Yeah, but your body felt like 3 a.m.
It's true.
Yeah, but you got there. That's right, on the time change. But yeah, we flipped the schedule with our schedules on Sunday. So, and then Tennessee played tonight. So no Tennessee Ball Sports guys tonight because we had to watch Tennessee Hoops make their debut tonight, getting the W over Mercer. So our schedule just flipped a little bit this week. So it worked out because there's a lot of other stuff that's happening, like, Hugh Freeze getting fired at Auburn and all kinds of other conversations around Tennessee football, and the cardiac dogs is what I think a lot of folks are calling them right there in Athens. So a lot of fun. You didn't do a post-game show, I imagine, when you walked in the door. You didn't do a post-gamer for Georgia,
I did
Florida.
Not on Saturday night, but I was up bright and early on Sunday. So we advertised it, well ahead that we'd be going at 11 a.m. on Sunday the following day. So we got that up. It was essentially instant reaction. I didn't have time to rewatch it. I basically slept and then woke up and did it. But yeah, it was good stuff, man. It was a fun time.
That's good. I'm glad you made it back in one piece. Your fourth game between Florida and Georgia, right? Or have you been 3 times?
It was my fourth cocktail party. Now 2-2. I'm 500, 1-2 straight. So that's solid. I've won the 2 that Georgia starting quarterback was actually playing. So, that's something, but yeah, this was definitely the most fun. Shout out to my buddy, the other Chase, Chase McAfee. Shout out to him, diehard Florida fan, making that drive same day from Jacksonville to Atlanta, Atlanta to Jacksonville and back. Also, his wife made the drive on the way down, and he made the drive up. So it was a team effort on their part. But yeah, we're like watching the night games in the World Series, Game 7 of the World Series, and everything on the way back. So we were able to stay alert. But obviously, he wasn't partaking in some of the beverages that I was partaking in. We did things safely. But yeah, man, it was an awesome time. It was the first cocktail party I've been to that was like a legit fourth quarter game. It feels like it's a kind of a tradition of like the teal seats. Like one team's breaking away in the fourth quarter, and then you see those Jacksonville Jaguars teal seats on the other side because a bunch of people have filed out. But it was just super loud the whole game. Probably didn't have much of a voice yesterday. I was going nuts, man. But it was a great time. But yeah, like because I even talking to some Florida people after the game, they were like, man, it was like so loud on y'all's side when Florida had the ball, and I was like, I was thinking the same thing. It felt louder on Florida's side when Georgia had the ball. So it's just when that game is like a game for all 4 quarters, it's just there's nothing really like it. The fact that it's just always loud.
I'm just not there yet with you, Matt Green. I've known you for a long time now, and I would describe you as one of the more laid back friends of mine. And imagining you, because I've never heard you yell, and imagining you yell is still really hard for me to wrap my brain around because I don't see it at all.
That's funny.
It just doesn't compute thinking about you yelling through an entire football game and getting really into it. I just imagine you with your arms crossed for the good folks on YouTube watching and just thinking about the game and then muttering comments to people throughout under your breath. I don't imagine you being an engaged extrovert yelling a bunch at these games.
Maybe that's my release. Sanford Stadium or Georgia football games in general. That's my release because I'm making like I'm not like friends. Like I'm not like getting names and numbers and stuff, but like the
always
10,
networking.
The 10 people in my vicinity or so, like I'm slapping hands. I'm doing everything. Like I'm being a positive fan. Also, you'll always hear. There's really only one guy that I heard say anything about like offensive play calling. You can sometimes be in a whole group of people. Oh yeah. So I make sure to be like, oh, that's a nice little call by Bobo, huh? Like that was a clever little play call. We should give him some credit when we got a good one, right? But yeah, it's yeah, maybe that's my release is a football game. That's definitely when I'm yelling. Hey, the defense, you're not there just to watch a game. You're a supporter of the squad. So if the defense means you make some noise, you got to make some noise.
I'm not a noisemaker. It's just not me. Like it's not in. Like I'm just not a. This guy.
What would Neyland Stadium be like if there was 100,000 people who are like, I'm not a noisemaker?
Oh, 100%. They don't need me. Like they don't need me inside Neyland Stadium. I'm wasting a ticket because I'm just for the good folks on youtube.com/Chase Thomas Podcast getting the visual here. This is me watching a game.
Just remember that, Tennessee fans. There's that game. You're only at 132 decibels or so. Like Chase Thomas wasn't there. You could have that little bit extra.
It's true.
The difference between ordinary and extraordinary.
That's right. That's right, Matt Green. It's all my fault. All my fault. But don't forget, folks, you can watch this very show on YouTube, youtube.com/Chase Thomas Podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching us here right now on a pod divided Vols versus Dogs for all of your Tennessee, Georgia, and SEC and college football content coming to you twice a week during the college football season. So make sure you comment on this video and also hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Well over 2,600 subs and growing more and more each and every day. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you have not already, you can also read me if you want some Tennessee sports content. You can go to our fast growing newsletter, sportsrenaissanceman.com, the Tennessee Sports Renaissance Man over there for all of my coverage and also the links for this very podcast. You can also find all that at chasethomaspodcast.com as well. And then, of course, if you're watching or if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast, make sure you leave this show a 5-star rating and write us a review. Helps other people find the show, and it helps this very show continue to grow. And you can always get in touch with us at chasethomaspodcast@gmail.com. So all kinds of different ways you can get involved. And then, of course, if you're a Georgia fan tuning in for this pod divided, make sure you go check out Georgia Voice of College Football and everything Matt is doing multiple times a week over there with Bo Underwood. So check them out as well at Georgia Voice of College Football. Well, let's start, Matt Green, with some dog bites here. Georgia comebacks in 5 of their 6 SEC games this season. They do it again in Gainesville. This got way closer, and I kept expecting Georgia to pull away, and Georgia just never pulled away in the second half of this football game. But you were there. What do you make of the Cardiac Dogs, and do you think this is sustainable for Georgia turning the corner and making a deep college football playoff run potentially when they're playing with fire like this so consistently?
Yeah, that's one thing I'm bummed about when it comes to Gunner taking the knee there at the end is I wonder if there's kind of a different narrative about this game, about Georgia kind of pulling away at the end, because they did essentially pull away by 2 scores. It was almost exactly what I predicted. I think I said 17-17 going into the fourth quarter, and then Georgia win by 2 touchdowns. So it's like, that's obviously they won by 4. If Gunner scores that, they win by 11. But so I feel like they did kind of control it at the end, but yeah, I mean, what Chauncey Bowens' touchdown takes the lead with like 6-7 minutes left. It was I guess I never thought it was going to be easy. So I could be the wrong person to ask, because in general, and I think I said this a few weeks ago, I just think the conversation around Georgia just needs to be just recalibrated. It's just, no, this team is not the team that's got a bunch of first round picks on it. That's this juggernaut. That's just not what this team is. It's like, so it feels like we had that conversation in week 2 or week 3. This isn't 2021 Georgia or 2022 Georgia. It's like, okay, well, we don't need to say that every single week. We've established that this team is not 2021 or 2022. maybe even 2023 Georgia. They don't have that same talent level. So if you just accept this team for what they are, it's like, man, this team's they just grind. Like they just find ways to win every single game. So I don't know. It's obviously not great. I think there's also kind of an incorrect narrative because yeah, the slow starts were a thing going like starting the year for sure. Like get down 21-7 against Tennessee, down 14-0 against Alabama. Like that's been a thing, but Ole Miss wasn't a slow start. It was just your defense just got scored on every time. The offense also was scoring every time, sometimes field goals, sometimes touchdowns, but it's like that was just more of a back and forth football game. I feel like this was the same thing. It's just sort of a back and forth. Georgia scored on their opening possession. Florida at least didn't score on the opening possession. I think this was the first SEC game where Georgia, maybe Kentucky actually, where Georgia didn't give up a touchdown on the opening drive. But yeah, I mean, it was just, I think maybe I was giving more respect to Florida than people were nationally because I don't think this was a bad football team. And I think there's also a case that it was addition by subtraction, getting rid of Billy Napier. So I kind of expected Florida to kind of have an edge and, just still be a good competitive football team. So, yeah, I mean, there's things that might concern you about Georgia having to come back in the third, fourth quarter of 5 or 6 SEC games. But I think at the end of the day, there's not going to be a game where Georgia lines up and they don't have a chance to beat the team that's on the other side, So it's like, I can't even think big picture about this team because I don't know how good this team is, but it seems like every single week they're capable of beating the team they're playing against. So Mississippi State, I think, is a game that people are definitely overlooking, to be honest. But I think Mississippi State and Texas, the final 2 SEC games they have left. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the ceiling is on this team, but they keep finding ways to win. And it feels like they have like a DNA at this point. Like Zachariah Branch is like, I was had this conversation with my brother earlier this week that he's like a video game player. Like you go get a guy out of the portal. This is his rating. He's a 97 speed. He's this agility. He's got this catch rating, and you just put him in your lineup, and this is exactly how good he's going to be. And it maybe just being a Georgia fan, it seems like there's been kind of a few bit of transfers that Georgia's gotten, and then hadn't got the production they necessarily anticipated getting from some of these transfers. And it's like Zachariah Branch is just exactly what he was supposed to be, and I think for that reason, he's better than I realistically expected him to be. But I think I just had those tempered expectations of like, yeah, I don't know. London Humphreys was like the third ranked receiver in the portal or something, and he had like 12 catches or something last year. So it's like, I don't know. I had tempered expectations, but Zachariah Branch is the best playmaker on this team. It's amazing what this guy does to Georgia's offense, just from the screen game in general, just when he's got the ball in his hands. But he's such a more complete receiver that I think I gave him credit for in terms of just making contested catches downfield, taking hits. But what he does to Georgia, like as far as just being a decoy and like that Noah Thomas touchdown, like 2 guys are looking at Zachariah Branch in the flat and you throw to Colby Thomas over the top. Like just what he does. There's at least 4 or 5 touchdowns I can remember this season being Zachariah Branch was the decoy and it got someone else a touchdown. He's just that dangerous for Georgia's offense.
Was that a catch by Michael Sturdivant to you?
I think it was insanely close. I rewatched it, like the actual broadcast, like on Sunday, and I was shocked at Joe Tessitore's like outrage by the call. Like he was positive that he caught it, and I don't think anyone else in the world was positive that he caught it. So I don't know if they call it a catch on the field. Do they overturn it? Maybe, probably not. I tend to think we didn't really have a definitive angle. I think we're kind of assuming. I'm assuming kind of how far his arms, like forearms, were apart. That like the ball touched some space on the ground, but it may have just bounced right off his forearm. I don't know. It was super close. Like, man, I mean, and if Flagway doesn't underthrow him by 10, 15 yards, like that's a touchdown too that Georgia gives up late in that game. But yeah, it was definitely close. I think honestly, the one I thought was closer, I would be more upset if I was a Florida fan, was the Gunnar Stockton fumble incompletion before halftime. I think that one was definitely questionable. And the fact that you overturned the call in the field too, like his arm's definitely going forward, but there's a chance he like already lost the ball and then it's like kind of pushing it forward. The fact that they overturned the call, I'd be more upset about that one because that's 3 points directly. Like we don't know that Florida even scores on that drive. If that Sturdivant one is a catch, like that fumble before the half not only puts 3 points on the board. I mean, I think Florida returned that back to like the 40 to like midfield or something. So maybe they could even get 3 points or 7 before the half or something. So yeah, that was definitely a close one as well.
Final Georgia thing. Does it feel like to you they're turning the corner, or is it still just TBD for you? Where Georgia's at now versus where they were when SEC play started?
It definitely feels like this team is kind of finding an identity. Like, and Colby Young's loss is pretty big. So to see Noah Thomas get a touchdown in this game, make a play, that's pretty nice. But yeah, I think the offensive line it's gotten healthy, and I think they've really come along. And Gunner, I think, kind of gets better every week. I would say this might not be Gunner's best game. And as I'm shouting out Noah Thomas, like I think I put that interception on Noah Thomas. Like, I mean, it hits both your hands. Like it was thrown behind him. Like it wasn't a perfect throw. But you got to catch that. And then that one to Oscar Delp, like where he's running wide open, like a wheel route, and Gunner underthrows it and he drops it. Like that was another big one. That could have been like a 50 yard gain that Gunner missed. So I don't think this was his best game. But this team's been able to run the ball like when they need to. Like I think Florida's a good defense. I think they've been a good defense all year. So they were able to limit Georgia running the ball for a lot of the game. What was that stat? They had like -7 rushing yards, I think, for like the first 20-25 minutes of the second half. Before that drive where Chauncey Bowens broke off the touchdown run. But yeah, it was a struggle for sure. But I don't know. This defense seems to make plays in the fourth quarter. They don't seem to ever give anything up in the fourth quarter. So there's something to be said for that. Like I said, I don't really know what this team's ceiling is, but any given week, I feel like they can beat the team on the other side. So I don't know if they ever get matched up with Ohio State. I don't know if I'll feel the same way, but it's like I can't even think about Ohio State right now with how every single game has just been such a battle. It's like, let's hope Georgia goes to Mississippi State and just takes care of that one, because Mississippi State has been basically competitive with everyone they've played this year.
That's fair. Well, Matt Green, they weren't just competitive, by the way, Mississippi State. They got a dub. Their first win in the Jeff Lebby era against SEC play in the last 2 years. That's great. Mississippi State's been, those fans, good fans, die hard. Shout out to my guy, Matt White, former Mississippi State quarterback, friend of the program here. But yeah, it was good to see them get a dub. It was kind of lost in the shuffle over the weekend, but Mississippi State and Arkansas cannot get one. So I don't think Mike Petrino is going to get that full-time Arkansas job.
Is this a letdown game? Are they still partying too hard after getting that first SEC win in 3 years? Like 2023?
Well, they didn't have one last year, so the year before last.
Okay.
So 23.
Yeah, I don't know. Can they get back up again for Georgia?
Well, what was that? My brother has actually gone to a Mississippi State Georgia game. When was the last time? I think that might have been the last time Georgia was in Starkville. How many years ago was that?
The Lad McConkey, when he had that reverse for a touchdown. So what year was that? 2022? I think Georgia went at Mississippi State, because that was a close game, like at halftime, because they took a punt to the house, like with no time left in the second quarter. I think it was like something like 16-9 or maybe like 13-10 or something at halftime. I feel like it was like kind of close. And then McConkey broke that like reverse like for like 80 yards. And then I think Georgia ended up taking care of business. But yeah, before that, I can't remember.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that was the one he went to then. Was it cold?
That was the one. I think they wore black against Mississippi State in 2020. Those dog collar jerseys. I think that was against Mississippi State in Athens. But in terms of
it wasn't Athens. It was Starkville. Is what I'm thinking of. Because I think it was cold. Was it a colder game like this is going to be
That
on
one was
Saturday?
definitely, yeah. It was post Georgia, Florida, I feel like.
Okay, then yes, that's what I'm thinking that he went. That must have been it. Because I remember it was a cold time when he made the trip over there. But he enjoyed it.
Okay, yeah, never been to Stark Vegas.
Well, maybe get Chase's on the case here. See if he can make the trip to Starkville.
He made the trip to Baton Rouge this year for the Florida game, but I think he at least stayed in like Mississippi or something at one point. But yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, last time they played in 2024. Yeah, they played last year, played in 2022 in Starkville, and then 3 straight times in Athens. That's a little weird. 2020 was in Athens, 2017 and 2011. All in I guess 2011 is before Missouri and A&M joined, so that changed. But yeah, last time. So the second to last time they went to Starkville was 2010, and Mississippi State won that one.
All right, Matt Green. Well, Pod Divided continues on the other side of the coin. Tennessee, they fall to the first non-Georgia football team at home since 2021, that being the Oklahoma Sooners. Here, Oklahoma hadn't won a game against a ranked opponent on the road in a really long time, and I don't have the stat in front of me, but it'd been a while since Oklahoma had done that, and Tennessee had their chances, 2 turnovers inside the Oklahoma 30 in the first half. Like, they moved the ball at will in the first half. They left a lot of points on the board. Bad sack turns into a touchdown return for the Sooners.
So the dude got hurt on that play?
Yes,
where he's
it was
like
a Greg Jennings. Like, Greg Jennings.
He put the team on his back, though.
Yeah, but the team, I mean, that's really what happened there. So, yeah, it was... The first half was a bad omen for what was to come because Tennessee, I mean, racked up, I think, nearly 300 yards in that first half and just had nothing to show for it, just costly turnovers. And it was just kind of a mess because Tennessee should have been up. The game should have been over in the first half with how Tennessee was moving and how Tennessee's defense was playing in that first half. Tennessee's defense had its best half of football all conference play against the Sooners here, and crowd was rocking. I mean, you had Johnny Knoxville there, Leanne Morgan Wallen, Peyton Manning, Tony Vitello made his return. Like, it was introducing Josh Elander as the new coach. Like, it was rocking.
So this might be a really dumb question. I'm literally putting this together in my head for the first time. Just right here. Is Johnny Knoxville a Tennessee guy?
Yeah. He went to
he's always been
what
a
is now
Tennessee
South
fan?
Doyle High School. Yeah, he's from Knoxville.
I've never even. Yeah, makes perfect sense. I don't know. I just hear his name. I didn't associate his name with Knoxville, Tennessee. I don't know what it is. Doesn't make sense. It's stupid. But yeah. I didn't know he was like a big Tennessee fan, but obviously that makes perfect sense.
It's a tough scene over here for Matt Green.
There's someone out there that's having the same realization I am. Believe it.
I hope
there's something.
Man. It's in the name.
No, it's true. There's something. I literally had this conversation with my brother like earlier this week. Sometimes I hear some people's names as like full names, and it doesn't register to me that they have the same last name. Like, we were having this conversation with John Stockton and Gunnar Stockton, and like it just didn't. I said something like, because long story short, someone was disrespecting John Stockton, and I was just like, people act like Stockton is Bob Cousy, and my brother's like, I thought you're comparing Gunnar Stockton to Bob Cousy, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? So I don't know. I had this conversation. So like, I didn't register those guys had the same name. I feel like people disrespect John Stockton. Like, he played a long time ago. That was the point of what I was saying. But he's like, this dude played in the 90s, you know? But yeah, him and Gunnar have the same last name, for those of you who never actually thought about that. But yeah, so I don't know what it is. Johnny Knoxville, I just hear his whole name. It doesn't occur to me it's Knoxville, Tennessee. We can get back on track here.
Wow.
So, big time environment. Let's go. I derailed the show here. Oklahoma, Tennessee.
I mean, that was wild. You found a way back, Matt Green, which we appreciate. But yes, Tennessee, if you had told me before this game, Tennessee would go 7 of 13 on third downs, out first down Oklahoma 28-19, only have 3 penalties for 25 yards, and then throw for nearly 400 and end with 456 total yards, 3 sacks, 3 TFLs, I would have been like, oh, yeah, Tennessee obviously won that football game. And Tennessee did not win this football game. Tennessee went in the half down 16-10. This game was just, I would say, the most frustrating game for the Vols in a myriad of ways. Tennessee really struggled to run the football in this one. Deshaun Bishop, Peyton Lewis, Star Thomas all couldn't. 4 sacks for Oklahoma in this game, 8 TFLs. You got to give credit to Oklahoma's front 7. They were swarming, and they whipped Tennessee's offensive line. And that was a surprise to me because I thought Tennessee would win on the line of scrimmage on both sides, and they did not. And John Mateer used his legs a lot, 16 carries, 80 yards, especially in the second half. Oklahoma's offense got a lot more comfortable in the second half. But, Tennessee did some things well. The receivers, Braylon and Chris and Ethan Davis had his best game as a Vol. The tight end spot, Mike had 3 receptions for 76 yards and a TD. But, Staley and Mike had 3 combined touchdowns. They were averaging 13.6 yards per completion. The downfield shots were there, but the turnovers that we had not seen from Aguilar all season, they really reared their ugly head here with two interceptions, 1 sack, fumble that wasn't his fault. But yeah, it was a tough game all across the board, and it was just a game that you felt really gross leaving because you're just I'm curious what you thought, because I came away from this game not being impressed with Oklahoma. I thought Tennessee did everything to not win this football game. I don't think Oklahoma's offense is very good. I don't think they run the football really well. They don't have a lot of receivers that can really scare you. Santana is solid, but Burks doesn't really do anything beyond Burks. I don't think he's a guy, but Santana, he's solid, but not a lot of juice, I think, on that Oklahoma offense. And the defense has some dudes for sure, but I didn't come away with that game being like, oh man, Oklahoma's a college football playoff team and they're complete, this, that, and the other. Tennessee just did a lot of really dumb stuff. Obviously they missed a field goal, but I think Max has been great. And he's been extremely accurate over the course of his Tennessee career. And I don't like folks getting all over Max in this game because he was 2 of 3 in this one. He had a 45 and a 48. Yeah, he missed a 37, but Max Gilbert's still a good kicker. But the other kicker too was a big part of this, is like multiple 50-yard bombs from this kicker. So he had a 55, 51, 55 from Tate Sandell in this football game, which is just crazy. And Heupel did some game management stuff that I did not agree with, running down the clock, going to the 2-minute mark here in the fourth quarter. He still has a lot to get better at when it comes to game management, clock management, stuff like that. But he declined a penalty that would have pushed Oklahoma back early in that first half to 3rd and 17, and instead took the penalty, and they proceeded to drill a 50-plus yard field goal. So you basically just gave him 3 points because you didn't trust your defense to get a stop on 3rd and 17, even though the defense is doing pretty well. But yeah, it's just the sky's not falling with Tennessee, but it was a depressing loss. It eliminates Tennessee from the college football playoff contention. And now you kind of wonder, you have a bye this week, then you have New Mexico State at home, but how they respond, because you still got to go to Florida, and you still got Vanderbilt at home, and you might be able to play spoiler and keep Vanderbilt out of the college football playoff. You can get up for it, but yeah, I don't know. It kind of a depressing game all around, and really, really frustrating because Tennessee, they just don't play complementary football well. They do some things really well some games, and they do some things horrifically, and they can never just put it all together. They never can do all 3 phases at an elite level at the same time. And look, I think Tennessee's good. I think they're somewhere in the 15 to 20 range in the country right now. The offense can keep them in any game with anybody, with just how quickly they can score at will. But yeah, it's a frustrating time right now, Matt Green. But what about you? What'd you take away from this game?
Yeah, I don't completely disagree with you. Oklahoma obviously ran the ball really well in this game. I feel like if you could have added Aguilar to what Tennessee has been the last 2 years, it's like I think he's an upgrade from Joe Milton and from 2024 Nico. And so it's like that Tennessee team could have been a contender, but it feels like Aguilar is just kind of having to rely too much on him to make all the plays. And you're seeing this is a good quarterback, but it's kind of like my comparison of Arian Smith to Adam Duvall a year ago. It's like the fact that you're having to rely on Arian Smith this much isn't Arian Smith's fault. Like it's your fault that you couldn't have gotten someone better than Arian Smith. So it's like Adam Duvall is what he is. You know, he's not an everyday player. And Aguilar, if you're going to rely on him to throw the ball 40 times, you know, and things like that, he's going to throw a couple picks. Like he's going to throw some touchdowns, but he's going to throw some picks too. Oklahoma definitely made some plays in this one. I think the reason why like this one feels different from a Tennessee perspective, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think many people were expecting this loss. Like it was we lost to Alabama, we lost to Georgia, and it's also but we lost to Georgia. Like we get a 38-yard field goal, or was 42-yard field goal, we beat Georgia in regulation. So and then obviously going to the Swamp was like another one he just felt worried about. So it feels like the Oklahoma one was just kind of blindsided. Now that Tennessee fans didn't respect this big time national, like 7:30 Kirk Herbstreit, Chris Fowler type game. Like, this is a huge game. Tennessee fans knew they could lose, but I don't feel like you guys were ever like truly expecting a loss in this one.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think the Georgia game changed all expectations for the year, because I think a lot of fans would have been okay 8-4, 9-3 before the Georgia game based on the circumstances with Nico and everything else. But because you should have beaten Georgia, and if you play that game 100 times over, Tennessee wins that game 98 times, and you blew it late.
Whoa, 98 times? What are we talking
Yeah,
here?
Gunner's not making that throw and that throw and catch to London Humphreys.
Well, the game doesn't play out exactly the same all 98 times. I don't know. Maybe you win at 55.
Max Gilbert makes that
generous.
kick 90 plus times. Like
I'll give you that. Yeah, makes that kick more. Yeah. So, more than 90 times out of 100 for sure.
Yeah, and that's my point. Is it just a lot of bad things happen that are pretty. It's just the broader point is you had Georgia, you should have beaten Georgia. You were the better team that day, and you blew it at home, and it was just painful. But it also made you think you could hang with anybody. You know, like it put you in that. Oh, we're a lot better than we anticipated coming into the year, and then that just raised everybody's opinion and projection for what the Vols could be in 2025, when before the year you could have told us that, hey, if you lost to Oklahoma, Florida, and Bama and Georgia, 8-4, fun offense, top 10-ish in scoring, and then you get to next year where you have Faison and George and a little bit older and Sanders a year older, you get Tristan Keys in here, and you're, you know, like you get to turn the page. Like the Nico thing kind of gave you a mulligan, because you lost your starting quarterback in late April and crazy circumstances. So the Georgia game, I feel like, changed everything.
So does the mulligan no longer exist?
I think it should, but I think there were some fans who were really upset with Heupel over the weekend, especially that night. And I think Heupel has done a very good job. I think Heupel is a good coach. I think Heupel still has room to grow, but I do think Heupel will have to make some sort of, how can I explain this? I think he's going to have to make some sort of, you know how like Kirby made the quick, like James Coley, good recruiter, I like having him on my staff, but he just can't be the play caller. I have to make sometimes tough decisions, you know, like I have to kind of move some stuff around, and I'm going to go take a shot at Todd Monken. I don't know how it's going to work. It's very different than my style that I'm comfortable with. Like Nick Saban went out and got Lane Kiffin, you know, and that was like kind of outside the box, where it was like, oh, you're really going to drastically change how Alabama's offense works. And Saban took an outside the box risk. And I think Heupel, especially defensively, because what's interesting to me this cycle in particular is there's so much elite defensive coordinator talent that I just kind of wonder, it's like, because you're spending so much on the roster, because you're bringing in a redshirt freshman or you're bringing back a redshirt freshman to compete with a true freshman for the starting quarterback job, and you've invested so much money, in this program that like, hey, if you have an opportunity to upgrade potentially, like you just kind of reach out and see like, I mean, you have Blake Baker, who's going to be available from LSU. You have Jim Knowles from Penn State, and you have a lot of big fish who would not traditionally be out there. And it's like, I think Tim Banks is fine. I think he's a good defensive coordinator. He's somewhere in the top 20 in the country. But if you think you can upgrade to get a top 5, I think that's a change you have to really, really consider because you're close. I think Tennessee is close to getting over that final hump because I think they're a really good program right now on solid footing. But I do think he cannot run it back like what the Braves are doing with Walt Weiss, Matt Green. You gotta have to shake things up a little bit. It doesn't mean it's all bad, but you do need to make an adjustment or two this offseason. Like, I don't think I think it would be a mistake on his end and a misunderstanding of where people are at if he runs it back as is. Because Heupel's never fired anybody. And it's like one of those things where I don't think you have to change everything. Like, you're doing a lot well, but you do have to you have to tinker a little bit because this year has just been all over the place. The defense has been horrific at times. There are certain things that just have been so bad that like you got to kind of pick some stuff. You got to get like you're going into year 6.
The defense was really good a year ago.
You what?
The defense was really good a year ago, though.
For sure. In some ways, yeah. But it's fallen off. And my point is like, if you can't get a top 5 guy, then you keep rolling with Banks and you're fine. But like, if you think you can, you always have to explore that because this is just, I feel like this year is in like, we're not going to have this much coaching movement next year. I don't think. I just feel like this year in particular, there's a lot of open, big, elite names that Tennessee has the money to go get potentially that I think you have to explore. If you want to be a national championship program, I think this staff needs to be beefed up just a little bit. That's my thing. And I don't know if they'll do it, but we'll see.
Well, this is, I think, a potentially 2-part question. So one of my preseason predictions was that Heupel was going to be the coach under like the most pressure, like nationally in 2026. And definitely with some of the guys that have already been fired, like Franklin and Kelly, like they're kind of off the board now, Napier, Pittman, those kind of guys. Do you think that's accurate in 2026? Not necessarily that like going to get fired, but like Kirby Smart was like a guy who was doing really well, but was like under a lot of pressure pre-national championship. Like, would that like who's under more pressure in college football if not Josh Heupel going into 2026?
I mean, he should. Here's the problem. Heupel is going to go into next year. I think if you put the hot seat on him next year, it's very stupid. 2027, yes. I think 2027 is the year. And I've penciled that in where I think Tennessee in 2027 will have their roster, if they retain correctly and develop correctly, they're going to be top 10-ish in blue chip ratio going into the year. And a lot of dudes who are older, like a lot of dudes. And George might be in year 3. Faison might be in year 2. Sanders in year 3. Tristan Keys in year 2. Like a lot of key guys will be older, and a lot of your key blue chip guys the nucleus of this team will be older, and older teams win titles and win big time games. So for me, like look at Vanderbilt. One of the biggest reasons Vanderbilt is so good this year is like 40% of the roster is 22-year-olds. Like it's not like a diss or anything. It's just the reality. Like that helps being older. And NBA, guess what? Old teams win, young teams lose. It's very, very simple. Like the young teams in the NBA.
Did OKC just win it all?
They had bets. I'm talking no. I'm talking about rookies and early, like 2 to 3 years in. Like those, Shea has been in the league for a while. But anyway, that's not what I'm saying. And you look at where Tennessee's gonna be. I think Tennessee's a 7-5, 8-4 team next year because look around the SEC, Matt Green. If you're going to start a true freshman or a redshirt freshman quarterback, who in this conference is winning at that level with a young quarterback? It's not happening. Like it's really hard. Like you're seeing how long it's taking Arch to get comfortable. You look at the top of this conference. Gunner is an older quarterback. Ty Simpson's an older quarterback. You look at the top of this group. I mean, John Mateer, older quarterback. I just kind of look at the top of this conference right now. And before the year, I mean, Mizzou, you had Bo Perbula. Like you just kind of, I think the expectation next year should be the offense should still be pretty good. I mean, Trinidad Chambliss, he's a grad transfer from
Marcel Reed's been around for a few years.
Reed, like it's just, I want to Diego Pavia, who we haven't really talked about, like that. Like those are all mostly older quarterbacks. Taylon Green, who's had a bunch of success at Arkansas, older quarterback. I just worry about the wins and losses conversation when it comes to Tennessee next year, because if you're going to roll with a freshman or a true redshirt freshman quarterback, you're going to have to accept that you're not contending next year, and you're going to
9
be
conference games.
Yeah, 9. The schedule's a lot harder. Like you're a 7, like 8-4 is a great year next year, I think, for Tennessee if they can get there with a young quarterbacking situation. But I don't know how people will take it.
But how does that? The part 2, I guess, is like, what does it take for Heupel like to truly be on the hot seat? Like, if they split Florida and Vandy, and this is an 8-4 team, what if they lost to both Florida and Vanderbilt? This team goes 7-5.
I don't think hot seat. I think it'd be like warm. It'd be toastier, I guess. It'd be like, hey, like, what the heck happened? Because that means they probably checked out.
They
Like,
would've
if you
lost,
lose to
what?
Florida and Vanderbilt down the stretch, you probably checked out.
You would have lost 4 of 6 down the stretch, and the
Yeah.
only wins over Kentucky and New Mexico State. Yeah, I just wonder. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's crazy that you just even said that sentence you said a few minutes ago, that Tennessee could spoil Vanderbilt's college football playoff hopes. I don't know what universe we're living in right now, but yeah, it's wild.
Well, Matt Green, how did we do this weekend in our Week 10 pick'em?
That is a good question, sir. Come back to me on that. Let me run those numbers real quick. I totally forgot about it, if I'm being honest, but I'll get that to you by the end of the show.
To be clear, folks,
I don't think I had a good week, if I'm being honest.
To be perfectly frank, and all longtime listeners of the Chase Thomas podcast and at Pod Divided, even going back to a full ride, we've been doing the same format for going on 5 years now, and Matt's known that we were going to talk about where we finished both against the spread and straight up in our picks every week coming back on the weekend. It's in the rundown. I'm staring at it right now. And Matt's coming to me here as a podcast veteran. Like, you surprised me on that one.
That's true. He really threw me off my game there. It was very unexpected. We don't do this every week or anything.
No, that was, you never know when I'm going to throw a curveball at you, Matt Green, but we'll come back to where we're at in the Week 10 pick'em. But
I'll tell you right now, you went 8-3 money line. I went 6-5 money line, but I'll get back to you on the against the spread.
Okay. I appreciate that. SEC stuff though, Matt Green, we're in SEC country, and Auburn is the latest to join the fray in what may have been a loser leaves town match with Kentucky and Auburn. And I was kicking myself for not picking Kentucky because I wanted to do it after what I saw from Kentucky last week. And I'm like, I think Kentucky might score enough to just beat Auburn, even on the road. Like this kind of, like, I wanted to do it last week, but I did not do it in our pick'em. But they officially fire Hugh Freeze. He doesn't get a full 3 years on the Plains. Matt Green, what say you? Where does Auburn now rank among college football playoff jobs to you?
So I feel like this one felt so overdue. I don't even know what that whole thing was about. Like, oh, it'd feel real good if I got a vote of confidence from the athletic director. Like, yeah, I'm sure you would, man. Like, that's just such a weird thing to say. Yeah, this was just so overdue. Like, there's just been no like just nothing to get excited about after 3 years. And you sent me that stat earlier today. What about the points allowed this year? Teams that have not allowed 24 points in a game. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's only Indiana, Ohio State, the top two teams in the country, and Auburn are only 3 teams in FBS that have not allowed more than 24 points in a game this year.
Unbelievable, man. 2 of those are undefeated, number 1 and 2 in the country. The other one just fired their coach because they have the worst offense in the SEC. But yeah,
an offensive coach.
An offensive coach, 3 years of awful quarterback play. It's just there's no excuse. Really good playmakers on this team, just an elite defense, and you still just can't find a way to win. Yeah, I feel like when you look at Auburn, we've been having conversations about these jobs like in our group thread recently, and Auburn just feels like it's in the like just kind of stuck. The whole having to play Georgia and Alabama every year thing is never great. You're the second team in your own state, but it's like that doesn't necessarily mean you can't win championships at Auburn. Like we've seen it be done. Maybe they did have to get the greatest player in the history of college football to do it, but they also went undefeated back in 04. They were a 2-minute drive or 1-minute drive, however long it took, that Florida State one. A 2-minute drill away from winning a national championship in 2013. So that's more recent than Florida can say competed for a national championship, more recent than Penn State, more recent than, not more recent than LSU. But I think you could argue, I think LSU is clearly the best job between these four personally. Like, I think you could argue, like, obviously,
do you think
Florida,
that's still the case after the governor getting involved here and no AD right now and just some odd circumstances in this coaching search?
there is something to be said for that and kind of the circus that appears to be going on at LSU, but I don't know, just the kind of players that go to LSU, they just seem different. Like, I don't know, they just have a different culture at LSU, and they get some big time players and their recruiting footprint and all that. But I think you can make an argument for Penn State being better than Florida or Auburn, just because like being like the third best job, maybe fourth best in the Big Ten, might be more sustainable than being like anywhere between 7th to like 10th in the SEC every year. Like that's 7th to 10th in the SEC is just a really tough place to be. Like there's a lot of losses there. It's like you might be really good, but how many championships are you winning being the 7th best team in the SEC? It's like probably not many. So I don't know. I tend to think, but it's different. I know that you can kind of recruit at a different level in the SEC, it seems like, but Penn State's one of those few that can recruit like some of the teams in the SEC. So I don't know. I think Auburn, I think it's pretty close to Florida, but I think I give Florida like a slight nod over Auburn. But I don't know. Maybe it's just the Alabama of it all. That kind of, I don't know that I don't think that helps Auburn.
Can I say this might be a blazing hot take?
Okay.
I think Auburn's the best available FBS job right now.
What? Explain.
So that stat with the defense right now, right? Like the defense is legit. There is a bunch of dudes. Like Auburn's back in the blue chip ratio. Cam Coleman is an absolute dude outside. The money is there. They spent the money on the rosters and the skill position guys. Eric Singleton coming over from Georgia Tech, and that poor guy moving on from Tech for Auburn has not really worked out. The grass is not always greener on that side of things, but Auburn has obviously won a national title in our lifetime. Matt Green has had some special seasons, and part of me is just that like Cohen, I think, is a good AD. You look at the basketball program's been really good under Bruce Pearl. I think it's just not. The talent is there, and it's not, I think, as stressful as Florida and LSU. Like, I think LSU is just like, you just throw everything else out. Like, LSU's the best job. Like, it's like a galaxy brain thing for me to be like, I think Auburn's actually better. But everything around LSU right now, if I'm a big time coach, or I'm kind of if I'm in these waters that all of these coaches we keep hearing are in, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like this could, I don't know what the future looks like and if the guy hires me is going to be around. Like, I don't know how this whole process is going to work. Like, you don't do well, other people get it. Like, it's just I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of a tough, weird thing right now. And I think I'm very curious to see who LSU ultimately gets and what happens here. But Auburn to me is like a quarterback and a solid head coach away from being a national title contender. Like, we talk about the defense here, but like the roster is really good. Like the roster, and it's in a talent-rich state, and it's not.
Are you keeping that roster if you take over though?
Well, that's the whole thing. I think you still have the money to keep a lot of that roster together. If you make a good hire, then I'm sure you can keep a lot of this roster, And for me, I'm like, if I'm Kenny Dillingham, who is the betting favorite, I saw open as the betting favorite for this job, like, he's a Gus disciple, which I think can scare some Auburn people maybe where they're like, we did move. But it's like Gus was the offensive coordinator when he won a national title. He came back and got you to another national title game. Like the Gus years were really good. Like he was consistently really good. I mean, it's kind of forgotten about the Kerryon Johnson, Jarrett Stidham year where they beat Georgia and Bama back to back. And I think they were the best team in the SEC that year, but they had to play Georgia again in the SEC title game. And Kerryon was broken down. And like, I think people have done some revisionist history on how successful and how good Gus was at Auburn. And I think that would be a slam dunk. If you're able to get Dillingham and Pride and be like, look, man, you've maximized every last ounce out of Arizona State. Come be a 5 to 10 year guy here. I think Kenny Dillingham would be great at Auburn. I think Auburn would be immediately back, and that would push Kalen DeBoer around. Like, I think that'd be a really exciting hire, and I'd be really fascinated to see what that looks like, DeBoer versus Dillingham in the state. But yeah, I don't know. I think Auburn is just kind of like, it's not going to have the same pressure and craziness because I think the fans also have that appetite, like where you have the Harsin situation, the Hugh situation, and just the like, man, just give us a solid coach because we have the money, we have the resources, we have the fan base, and let's just do it. Just give us a good coach. And I think Dillingham or Summerall, they would do really well there. I don't know. I just think Auburn, I would not be surprised if they got its act together with this hire and they were okay. If it's Dillingham or Summerall or somebody like that, then I think it'd be good. Dillingham, I think, is a slam dunk. But yeah, I don't know. I like the Auburn job. I still like the Auburn job.
Drinkowitz was a Malzahn guy too, like, right?
Yeah.
I think he had a year or two at Auburn.
I mean, he'd win at Auburn. Like, I think it'd be a great hire for him there too.
If I was an Auburn fan, I would strongly prefer Dillingham over Drinkowitz. I
wouldn't say strongly. I would prefer it though.
There's something about Drinkowitz, like, I don't know, his kind of shit talking, like that he does to his level at Missouri. I feel like kind of works. It's like, hey, don't forget about us over here in Missouri. But I feel like that same thing at Auburn, I don't know. I feel like it could come off as an inferiority complex kind of real quick with Alabama and Georgia around. Like, I think you need a kind of a business, like a no nonsense kind of guy like Dillingham. Like Dillingham's a guy who's like, not like he's not going to like go to bat for his team or something, but like, I don't know. It's kind of how like Mullen developed that kind of personality when he got to Florida. Like he felt like he needed to take jabs at Georgia. Like he wasn't really that guy before he got to Florida. I don't know. I don't know that Drinkowitz is the personality they need at Auburn. I think they need a less, like, just less is more at Auburn. I think you just need to like keep your head down and like do the business. Like Gus Malzahn, we say beat the dog crap out of him. It's like then the next time Georgia plays the SEC championship and it's a blowout. Like I don't know. I just don't know that Auburn needs that.
Yeah,
that's a vibes thing. I don't know. That's a take my opinion for what it's worth.
Well, there you go. The other big game of the weekend, Vanderbilt, they nearly completed an insane comeback against Texas. Texas started off super hot, putting them in a 17-0 hole. Vanderbilt doesn't go away, fights back hard. Huge fourth quarter from the Commodores. Eli Stowers was insane in this game. Like he's a player, man, at tight end for the Commodores. But were you more impressed with Texas this week and kind of what the Arch and company have been building the last couple weeks? Arch went 25 of 33. Wisner had 75 yards, touchdown. Ryan Wingo had a big touchdown reception. He had 2 receptions for 89 yards. Texas now 7-2, 4-1 in the SEC. What do you think, Matt Green? Are you starting to buy back some Texas stock here?
I don't know if I'm buying their stock, but yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt's significantly better than Kentucky or Mississippi State this year. So this was a big time win. They were trending in the wrong direction for sure. Like I even the Oklahoma win, I was kind of like, yeah, but it was kind of ugly. Like Mateer was clearly not himself, like throwing picks and just, and had the big punt return too that kind of broke it open late in that one. Like that was kind of an ugly game. So even though they beat Oklahoma, I wasn't really that impressed with the offense in that game. This is the first one that the offense is just kind of making plays. Like we just haven't really seen the offense look smooth and like all season basically. So it was good to see this team making plays. I don't know. I don't know that I'm like ready to hop on the bandwagon for Texas, but they're going to come to Athens in 2 weeks, coming off a bye, and then that's when the hype will get back with Texas if they have a big performance against Georgia.
I tend to agree, Matt.
I mean, that's their season, right? 9-3 Texas doesn't get in the playoff.
No chance. No, they have to beat Georgia. But if they beat Georgia and this streak continues, I mean, Texas is really, really good. They can pull that off. Like, that's a really, really strong.
Although 9-3 Texas has a win over Georgia or Texas A&M. Is that enough to get them in? They are Texas, and
well, here's the problem with
media
that.
desperately wants them there.
It depends on who loses around them, right? Because I think the final thing I had on our doc was like, I think right now, if the playoffs start today, there'd be 5 SEC teams in with how much hysteria there's been all across the board. I think you're getting 5 in.
With Texas being the 5th one?
No, it'd be Oklahoma.
So you put Oklahoma in over Texas, who they got
right now, yeah,
head-to-head over?
Yeah, right now.
I think Oklahoma's resume is more impressive than Texas. I think Oklahoma is the only 9-3 team that, I mean, depending on how it works out, like, they're the only 9-3 team that I'm like, yeah, they without a doubt deserve to be in the playoff. I'll see. I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there and see who has 3 losses. But just based on strength of schedule, I don't think anyone kind of nationally. I didn't watch game day necessarily, so I don't know what their picks were for Oklahoma, Tennessee. But I think that was a result that kind of like shocked me in terms of just the SEC standings. Like, I think Oklahoma actually being a contender like into November. I think we talked about the possibility of that happening. It was kind of like Florida, Auburn, and Oklahoma, right? They were those 3 wild card teams everyone's referring to. I'm really impressed by them still, just with the schedule they have. If they have 3 losses, this team should be in the playoff.
Yeah. We'll see.
Miss, right now, you'd say Ole Miss. I don't know what the percentages are. They have that somewhere, right? But Ole Miss has got to be 90.
Ole Miss is a lot.
90-something%. A&M's got to be 90-something%. I think 10-2 Georgia is a lock. So
Bama.
10-2 Bama is definitely a lock. So who's Bama got left? Oklahoma, at least Oklahoma and Auburn is one more. Oh, LSU this week. So yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I think those top 4, Georgia is probably the one of those top 4 that's the most shaky right now, because they could still lose to Georgia Tech. They could still lose to Texas. They could lose to Mississippi State. I'm obviously not predicting that one. But the other 2, I mean, those are top 15 teams in the country right now.
But again, like, even if Georgia falls a little bit, you have Oklahoma, Texas, and Vanderbilt all right there to pick up the pieces. So I just think there's going to be a push for 5.
Yeah, that's fair, because if Georgia's not one of them, Texas probably beat them. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible. I mean, 10-2 Vanderbilt. We haven't even talked.
That's what I'm saying.
10-2 Vanderbilt in?
But that's what I'm saying. Vanderbilt would be a 5th team in there.
Shoot, I think how you're naming, I think we got like 6 SEC teams in.
Well, some of them would lose in head-to-head stuff, and I don't know. Like, there would be some stuff that would get cleaned up. I don't think it will be that clean where there's that many.
Yeah, I think A&M, Alabama, Georgia, and Ole Miss, they can all win out without playing each other. And then if Vanderbilt won out, I guess, yeah, all 5 of those teams could. Yeah, we could have a couple 11-1 teams, not in the SEC championship this year.
It's possible. Final one here, Matt Green. Miami. They blew it again, Matt Green. They blew it again. I had SMU winning this game. You just knew at home. SMU is also just a great conference team. Doesn't matter. ACC, AAC. Rhett Lashley, he loves to win some conference games. Doesn't matter what conference he's in. And just got an extension this week. And they just beat Miami. And, man, if you're a Canes fan, you're just like, if not now, when? Like, the ACC is just begging Miami to take this the last 2 years. Just begging them. Take the title and represent us in the college football playoff. And they just refuse. They keep passing the baton back. They're like, no, now's not the time. And, man, I just, if you're a Miami fan, you're just, it's brutal. And the ACC, by the way, at the top of their race, Virginia, Duke, and who else is in this? Georgia Tech.
Well, yeah, because Georgia Tech lost too. So who's is it SMU and Virginia now at the top?
I think Duke's at the top.
So conference wise, Virginia's undefeated. Pitt Pitt and Tech are both 5-1, and then Duke, SMU, and Louisville are all 4-1 in the conference.
Yeah. So an
Wow.
absolute mess. How are they going to decide all this? And because there's no divisions over there anymore. There's going to be some crazy tiebreakers to decide who gets in the ACC title game here.
Yeah, that is a good question. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the remaining. Who's on like Tech and Virginia's schedule the rest of the way? So Virginia does have to play Duke, and then Georgia Tech. They still have to play Pitt. So a couple of these will even out. But yeah, it's funny how teams are kind of treated after a loss. Like Georgia Tech's like, I don't know, like the feel good story of the year, and then they lose one game, and you're like, yeah, but look at your resume. Your resume is kind of terrible. And now they go from like number 7 to number 15. But yeah, man, Miami, I don't know. I feel like against my better judgment, I thought Mario Cristobal and company had moved past this. I thought they turned a corner and they were the elite team in the ACC, but yeah, they seem to do this every year. Carson Beck throwing more picks. It's a big time win for SMU, and 10-2 wasn't good enough for Miami last year. Like they were behind 9-3 Alabama in the final rankings a year ago, and that team at least kind of passed the eye test more than this year's team. So I think that's probably an eliminating game for Miami. But also, I don't think I even had a home dog of the week last week, so I had SMU against the spread, and you had SMU as as your upset. So we're gonna give Zeus credit for SMU last week. So he's 7-4 now on the year. And to update the against the spread here, you went 6-5 against the spread. I went 4-7 against the spread. So, and then I was 6-5 money line. You were 8-3 money line. So a successful week 10 for you, sir.
Well, there you go, Matt Green. Any other games you want to hit on here?
What else was there? Ohio State, Penn State, not very interesting. Yeah, Georgia Tech getting upset was pretty big, but yeah, other than that, I think I don't know. I think you basically touched on everything. It was another fun week in the SEC. What any other results in the SEC? We didn't. I guess Ole Miss, South Carolina was the only other one we didn't really talk about. So that game wasn't very eventful. I don't
Indiana,
know. South Carolina,
crushed Maryland. I guess the sad one is Dylan Raiola out for the year. That really sucks. For Nebraska.
Yeah. Terrible uniforms, by the way.
You know what's weird is that one doesn't bother me. The Iowa State black bothers me. Nebraska, because isn't their defense that the whole black shirts thing?
The black shirt. Yeah, it is. It is something.
I'll allow it for Nebraska.
Fair enough.
But some of these other ones, West Virginia, Iowa State, gotta go.
Yeah, I'm with you. Texas A&M.
Yeah. Oof.
Tennessee Volunteers. No,
everyone,
those look
you see
good.
how
I'm
many people after leaving the game and like talking about the experience, like it's the best game day experience, and like how awesome it was for Spooky Nealon and the dark mode unis and all that. Like, I mean, even on TV, man, it's a Coliseum. Like it's just it's unlike anything else, man.
The lighting up the tee, I'm not sure what year they started doing that, actually like spotlighting it, but that's pretty awesome. I think they've only been doing that for like a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good stuff.
Wish the game had gone better.
Absolutely.
Well, don't forget, folks, you can watch us on YouTube twice a week here on not usually this day. Usually you can catch us on Mondays and Thursdays right here on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe and hit that subscribe button, like all that good stuff, and check out Matt and all of his Georgia content for all the Georgia folks tuning in over there at Georgia Voice of College Football. And if you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, or every your podcast, make sure if you like what you heard today, you leave us a 5-star rating, write us a review, helps other people find the show, helps this show continue to grow a little bit more each and every day. And make sure if you want to read me, sportsrenaissanceman.com, chasethomaspodcast.com as well for all the information about this daily show. Matt Green, always a pleasure. And I will talk to you again in a couple days.
Yes, sir.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.